daughter was supposed to be here, but she had her appendix taken out last night at 10:30. So she obviously is not able to make it. She had a really nice picture board that she had done and a lot of music that she had set up. So unfortunately, she's recuperating from her surgery and she's doing okay. Just a little hurt, hurt from some pain, and she says she's walking like an old lady, crumbled over. So anyway, Jennifer, our second daughter, is here. Came out from Illinois, and her friend Melody came down from Washington, and appreciate her coming down to give support to Jen and all of us. Jen and I have a Herculean task of summing up Becky's life. To do this, we must try and communicate the feelings we have into words. For simple things on a good day, that is difficult at best. Today it's pretty close to impossible, but we'll give it our best shot. Four times in my life, or 4 times in the last few months, I've worn a tie. First was to bury my dad in December. Second, my mom in February. Third, my wife in June. And today, the last two, this is the same shirt and tie that I wore when we got married. So it has special meaning. I want to start by saying thank you to everyone that's here for coming and for your kind thoughts and wishes. Without everyone here, the love and support you've shown, I don't think we would have made it through the last few months. The phone calls, visits, cards, and hugs have been lifesavers. We couldn't have done it without you and each other. Danielle, Jen, and I have been leaning on each other a lot. Becky had 2 fears. Her first fear was that she would die in California. She was born back in Illinois, and she liked the atmosphere and the genuineness of the people that are from that area. Her second fear was that no one would show up for her funeral. Thank you all for making that second fear not come true. If Jen or I or anyone else to speak rambles, if we see days you're confused, please bear with us. Sometimes I might just need to stop. The pictures on the screen, sorry for some of them being sideways, just can't seem to get that straightened out. The pictures on the screen show some of what I'll talk about today, and others may as well. The pictures that are on display, along with the signs and figurines, etc., are all from throughout our house. We don't have that many pictures of Becky because she hated having her picture taken, as many of us do. And you'll notice most of the pictures with her also have somebody else in them. Born Rebecca Marie Reese on 6/9/1958. Taken from us abruptly on 6/12/16 while visiting her family in Illinois. Everyone knows her as Becky. She was not a big fan of Rebecca at all. That's what she used on legal forms and anything having to do with health care. Jen and I and Danielle still refer to things as us, ours, and we when we talk about anything having to do with Becky. She is still very much in our lives. Becky and I met on August 12th, 1994. when she came and applied for a job where Jim and I work. We got married exactly 1 year later. She told me she loved me by giving me a recording of the song Shameless by Garth Brooks. And it's been our theme song ever since. We took a cross-country drive so that I could go and meet her family and friends back in Illinois. We traveled for 5 days through some nasty weather, sleeping in really ugly hotels at times. But like any other trip we ever took, we always had a really good time. She brought into our marriage 2 daughters from her first marriage. They soon started calling me Dad. They are still my daughters and always will be. I don't know how I would have gotten through these past few months without them. Danielle and Jen, thank you so much for your love and support. I was told that writing a journal is a good coping mechanism. As you can imagine, I've been doing some heavy counseling. The front cover of the journal that I wrote says, "This journal is life after losing my best friend, wife, soulmate, and the love of my life. I have learned from others that the grief felt is proportional to the love experienced, felt, and shared. I don't know how the grief could possibly be any deeper. I am so grateful for the daughters you blessed me with, and that we both love so much. I am grateful for the dogs we watch over and the joy they bring into our lives. Who would have thought that Spike, who was always her dog, would become my favorite? Please don't tell the other 3. Me starting this journal is long overdue. For that I am sorry. I'm doing my best. I know you are no longer in pain, that you are surrounded by our family that went before you, and that Max, who was our very first dog, is by your side. I know you are our constant companion, and that you will be there to greet me when my time comes. Help me through this as only you can. Becky loved my mom and dad. We often made trips up to Oregon to see them. Sometimes the trips would take 6.5 hours. Sometimes they would take 14, depending on the weather. Becky would talk to my mom on the phone for hours on a time, laughing and joking. Dad always commented how he loved it, that they were such good friends. If you look around, you'll see this. Live, laugh, love is the theme of our home. And you can see it on signs and other things in many places throughout our home. The walls of the house are covered with her memories, some which we brought here to share. Memories in the form of pictures, signs, blanket holders, and a variety of other things. Even candle poppers say live, laugh, love on them. Some of the sayings that I see every day are, it doesn't get any better than this. Life isn't about waiting for the storm to pass. It's about learning to dance in the rain. Home is where dog hair sticks to everything except the dog. Always kiss your dog goodnight. Having a place to go is home. Having someone to love is family. Having both is a blessing. You and me, 2 hearts, 1 love. I'll eat you up, I love you so. Live simply, care deeply. Cherish today. Dream tomorrow. Live today. Oh, what fun we'll have. Urban farm girl. keep calm, walk the dog, and be strong. A lot of times I look at these signs and sayings, I wonder if Becky knew she was going to leave and wanted to leave these messages behind to those she loves. Becky loves her family, friends, her dogs, her home. She loves country music, her boots, cooking, and making others happy. She loves simple things as well as fancy things. She was comfortable in jeans and t-shirt, as well as being dressed up to the nines. She loved to have people come into the home, feel welcome and at ease. She loved it when we took vacations, no matter where we went, as long as we were together. We lived in 2 houses in Brentwood, 3 in Fremont, and we always loved remodeling them, even when they were rentals. We loved remodeling, painting, and making them our own. Sometimes the bigger the challenge, the more fun we had, like replacing the entire floor downstairs. Sometimes we went on a cruise, as you can see from the pictures. We loved going to Alaska. It was such a beautiful place, and the climate was cooler. The last cruise we went on, I got the norovirus, which is no fun. And although we had many activities planned, we just hung out in the room for about 3 days. And she kept saying, don't worry, it's okay, we're together. Sometimes we went to Las Vegas or the Napa Valley. Sometimes we went to San Francisco for a night. And sometimes we just stayed home together. When the kids were younger, we used to take them to Great America, and she loved to ride the roller coasters. She hated that her health stopped her from riding those later in life. Many years ago, I came home and she said, I bought a tent trailer. And she showed what she had bought. It was online, and we drove down to Arizona together. On the way back from Arizona, it was in the middle of summer. We went over the July 4th weekend. On the way back, we stopped at Death Valley to camp. That was not pleasant, especially since there was no AC. It's a tent trailer. It was a tent. The next 2 nights we stayed in. We went to Laughlin the next 2 nights and stayed in a hotel there. Becky is the love of my life, my one true love, my soulmate, my best friend. She is my passion in life. She is the hub of the family wheel, and we are lost without her. We talk many times during the day, sometimes just to check in, say hi and I love you. We spent most of our spare time together, cooking for each other, grocery shopping, going to Costco, running errands, talking, watching a movie now and then, playing with the dogs, or sometimes just sitting together holding hands. Becky hated her body. She felt it betrayed her. In the last few years, she was in a great deal of pain, more than she told anyone except her doctors. Found out after she had passed that there were medications she was on that I had no knowledge of for pain management. She had a brain aneurysm with a 95% mortality rate in 1995. She said she didn't die because she didn't want to leave her girls alone. She died on the operating table when she was having surgery after her heart attack in 2003. She also died when she had pneumonia 3 years ago. While I was visiting her in the hospital and helping her get back to bed, she went cold blue and I caught her. She was headed for the floor. It took them about an hour to stabilize her before they took her to ICU, where she was put in a induced coma for 3.5 days. The doctors told me she had a 50% chance of making it through the night, and that I should call everyone I know. She made it back all 3 times. And I wish with all my heart could have made it back and forth. Becky saw the beauty in everything. She would often send me pictures of clouds, sunsets, sunrises, flowers, trees, rainbows. I would do the same. She would often get things that needed help and make them look great. We spent a lot of times driving around on the weekends going to different garage sales. Sometimes we just drive by because nothing interested us. Other times we get stuff that was distressed and needed help. There's a lot of things in our house right now that we picked up at garage sales for nothing and made them look good. She loves to make people laugh and loves shoes. Shoes that she often bought in the kids' department because her feet were so small. Put those two things together and what do you get? Becky wearing kids' shoes that light up when you walk. People would always laugh and comment and she loved it. People would stop her in restaurants as we were walking through or walking down the street and just comment on her shoes and she would strike up a conversation with them. She loved her boots. They represented a time of the future when we planned to retire to Tennessee. Becky loved the holidays. Every single one of them. Every holiday had some type of decoration up, but nothing like Christmas. As anybody who's been to our house during the holidays, and from some of the slides you can see, and some of the pictures around, Christmas was her holiday. She would start decorating the week before Thanksgiving, and it would take us several days to finish. People say it looks like your house barked Christmas. There were Santa Clauses going up the stairway on every step on both sides. Garland around the handrails. After New Year's Day, she'd always get depressed because she knew it was time to pack everything up until the next year. We've got about 24 bins in the garage full of Christmas decorations. Have a special shelf up in the garage, actually 3 now, just for the Christmas decorations. If you look carefully though, you can see a little Christmas in many places in our home. In the grandfather clock, on shelf. Danielle, thank God. Danielle! Becky loves her dogs. The first one we got back in 2000 named Taz, short for Tasmanian Devil. He lived a short time, about a week and a half, due to a neurological problem. We went back to where we got Taz and got his brother Max, who was not sick. Max was with us for 8 years. Shortly after we got Max, we got him a buddy, Gizmo, who was the sweetest dog, until he came onto his property. When Becky was alone, he would stand up on his hind legs, snarling and barking. Unfortunately, Gizmo recently joined Becky. Now we have 3 rescues. Brandy, also known as PETA, short for pain in the ass. And she lives up to it. Jack, who is afraid of everything. And Spike, who is unequivocally her dog. They still look for her to come through the door. And sometimes at night, she's there. I can tell by the special way Spike is greeting her, with a special wag of his entire bottom, and the way he is talking to her, the way he talks to no one else. Becky always listened to country music. It usually tells a story. It is about good people, good times, true feelings, and you can usually understand it. Becky always made room in her home for others. We had several people live with us over the years. Sandy, who is here now. was actually a friend of Jen's, and she was having problems at home and went over to get her for a weekend, and she stayed for about 4 years. She became our daughter. Chris, who was a boyfriend of Danielle's, stayed with us for about 4 to 5 years and called us mom and dad, and still does. Aaron, who stayed with us for about a year. My mom and dad, who stayed with us for about 3. My nephew and his wife stayed with us for about a year and a half. And Becky loved every minute of having someone sharing our home. You know, up here, you see the chef here where it says, "Welcome to the kitchen that never closes." That was the last thing Becky wrote on it before she left for Illinois. We actually got that when Mom and Dad lived with us because they would always ask, "What's for dinner?" And so in the morning, she would write down on the chalkboard there what was going to be for dinner that night. So that way we didn't have to go through the routine of them asking, etc. Becky is a protector. Anytime she felt that someone had said or done something to her family or extended family, she became a mama bear. Becky inspires me and everyone in her family to be a better person. Anyone could call her anytime for help or just to talk, and she loved it every time. When I was making that flight back to Illinois, I realized I am truly blessed. I am lucky to have her in my life, to share a true love that few experience. And for this I am grateful. I often feel lost and alone without her, but I know she is always with me in spirit. There were some people that weren't able to show up today, and they wanted to contribute. So I'm going to read what some others have said. My nephew Jimmy, who is currently overseas for a company that he works with as a private contractor for the Army fixing tanks, he wrote, "Becky is one of my favorite people that I've ever known through most of my life. It wasn't always that I was, as I'm a redhead, and when I was younger, there was a certain disdain she looked at me with. As I grew older and we grew closer, one day she told me that had I been her child, she would have drowned me up her. This wasn't a negative thing. She told me, however, as the smile on her face told me, it was her way of saying she loved me, without actually saying it. Becky was an amazing woman, tough, intelligent, fiery, always laughing. She had a way of telling stories that just made people laugh, no matter what mood they were in. Becky was honest. She always told you what you needed to hear, not what you wanted to hear. Most importantly, I don't think I ever saw Larry around Becky without a smile on his face, unless Becky wasn't feeling well. I'm glad I got to know her, and somewhere I'm sure she's making an angel pee in their pants for laughing so hard. My sister Joanne wrote, "When I think of Becky, I think of her sense of humor. She loved a good joke or just being able to laugh at something. For the most part, she was a fun-loving, happy person who always seemed to be able to find the humor in any situation. She had so much love to share, and she shared it freely. Although she had a serious side, it was her bright side that usually won out. We will miss her greatly. Her husband Earl, who few of you know him or have met him, he's close to being a recluse as you can be. He doesn't socialize very well with others, and he basically draws into a cocoon when there's more than about 3 or 4 other people around. Earl says she loved to smile. He enjoyed talking to her, which is unusual for me. But she was one of the few in the world I was comfortable with. She felt like a sister soul. I've got some others that were emailed to me late this morning. Bear with me for just a second while it comes up. This is from my niece Christy. She's the oldest of my oldest sibling, or oldest offspring of my sister Joy. Becky was my aunt, but she was more like my sister, partly because we were so close in age, but mostly because we loved each other like sisters. She got me. She knew when I needed a laugh, and would throw in a little irreverent humor at the most inappropriate times to help me see the lighter side of life. She understood when I needed a vent, and would yell at life right along with me. She didn't judge me for the choices I made in my life. She was just as glad and happy as I was. Sometimes we didn't talk to each other for a while, but when we did, it was like no time had passed. She had so many health problems for so long, and yet never dwelt on them. She would talk about the country costumes she went to, her dogs, her daughters, landscaping, decorating, shopping, cooking, the trips she and Larry were going on, and the plans they had for the future. She had a positive outlook on life, and always planned for things to work out well, no matter how bleak it might look at the moment. She didn't sit around and wait for life to change. She went out and grabbed it by the horns and took charge. She wasn't perfect. She was stubborn, determined, and spoke her mind. That is why I loved her so much. Becky had a loving nature and a good heart. She took in strays, both animals and people, and tried to care for everyone, even my own son and daughter-in-law. She loved my grandparents like they were her own parents. But most of all, she loved her husband, my Uncle Larry, with all her heart and soul. I'm thankful Becky was a part of my life. She will always be in my heart. This time we won't see each other for a long time. But I know when we do, it will be like no time had passed at all. Our emails. Christy's daughter, Beth, my great niece, says I did not have a lot of opportunities to hang out with my Aunt Becky, but the times I did, I see she always made me smile. Becky was always so down to earth. I learned a lot from her about prioritizing life, putting family above all else. I watched the way she was with her husband and with her daughters, and was impressed by her ability to be firm and sweet in an equal balance. Wow, and how awesome I thought she was. She had a naughty sense of humor that made us all laugh, even if not out loud. And my sister writes, my other sister Joy. Becky was a cute, short ball of fire with a great personality that just didn't quit. I was thrilled to have a sister who wanted to be my friend, as well as my sister. I loved it when she would call me out of the blue and enthusiastically share stories about her daughter's successes, to be sad about their disappointments. We laughed together and were sad together because we were both moms and could understand each other's feelings about our families. She was always concerned that she wasn't doing the mothering as good as she could, but I assured her that every mom feels that way and that her daughters were very lucky to have a mom who loved them so unconditionally. It was good to have that to share with each other. Becky loved with all her heart and was so generous with everything she had. She always wanted to help those in need, humans or animals. She was a caring, giving person. Becky was an amazing decorator. Loved to go to garage sales. It never ceased to amaze me the treasures she could find, the pennies on the dollar, and turn them into beautiful decorations. I love to see them before and after, and the marvels of her abilities. Then, of course, there was her love of decorating for Christmas. I've never known anyone who could find so many places to have singing animals and Christmas lights greet you at the holidays. I remember going to their home in Fremont at Christmas, and the ceiling was strung with lights, not just around the edge, but in the middle too. Our parents loved all of that celebration for the 3 years they lived with them in Brentwood. She had a wonderful sense of humor and loved to laugh. We always know that we can count on her to make us laugh. She always had such funny stories to share with us. Her language was a bit on the rough side, but that's just the way Becky was, and everyone loved her regardless. She tried not to use too many swear words at family gatherings, as she knew our family didn't use them, and I appreciated her efforts. I remember a fun time we went to visit Larry and Becky, and our son, Chris, and his family came with us. Their dog, Randy, was a fairly new addition to Becky and Larry's home, and Calvin, our grandson, was just a little guy learning how to crawl. He didn't know about dogs. Randy loved to have you throw balls for her. And when she came up to Calvin and bounced down in front of him, elbows and then thumped up and ran away many times when he could reach for her, this made Calvin laugh in the cutest way babies do, and made Becky and all of us who were standing around watching laugh too. Many of us had tears in our eyes from laughing so hard. Becky struggled with her health for many years, but she never let it keep her down unless she had no choice because she was in the hospital. She was familiar with the hospital visits, but always seemed to have the strength to come out of it and come home. I think it was because she loved her sweetheart Larry so much, and that she couldn't stand on the thought of not being with him. Her love was strong and glowed when they were together. They were a good team with many goals and dreams. Some were fulfilled, others will have to wait. I know that she is here beside him, even though we can't see her. She would never want to miss out on anything, so she will stay near so she can share in everything her family does. I miss her, and I am so grateful for that little while I had with this enthusiastic, loving sister who cares so dearly about my family and me. She wasn't perfect. No one of us are. But she knows how to love. All of us have lives that have been enriched and changed because we knew Becky. I am grateful that I know we will be together again as a forever family. I look forward to having fun with her again. Thank you, Becky. I love you. As I said in the beginning, words can only touch the surface of the true feelings that are within. And I love Becky with all my heart and all my soul, and I always will. huge hole has been left in my life, and the lives of those that knew her, and were so close to her. Yeah, that hole will be slowly covered up. Right now there's kind of a few strings going across it, and eventually it'll get filled over. But the hole will never be filled because nothing can fill it except for her. I could go on for hours talking, but I'm not going to. I want to again thank everybody here for coming and for sharing this time. And now next is one of the girls who wants to go first.
So I'll only be up here a couple minutes. As many of you know, I literally just got out of the hospital about 3 hours ago. I had my appendix out last night. I had this whole 3-page, beautifully written thing up, and it's sitting in my office at work. My life forever changed at 3:41 a.m. on June 12th. I got a phone call. It was my dad. And as soon as I saw the word dad, I went, something's wrong with Mom. And I found out that she had passed away. She was my best friend. She was my confidant. She was the person who had my back, no matter what. I could do the worst thing in the world, and God knows I did, and she would always love me. Some of my biggest memories, like my dad mentioned, was her generosity. As he said, people came, they stayed a few days, they stayed a few years, and you had to really piss off my mom to get kicked out, as I know firsthand. Yeah. Another big thing was the love for her dogs. When my sister and I finally flew the nest, moved out, had our own lives, she used to call her dogs her kids. And my dad would always joke, if you ever do anything to my dogs, don't bother coming back again. My mom would say the same thing. And I'm kind of going off of memory from what I wrote on Thursday. My mom had a childlike spirit. One of the biggest things was, I'm sure many of you who've known her for years knew about her light-up shoes. She'd buy them in the kids department. She was 4 feet 10, wore a size 5 shoe. We would get stopped in grocery stores, restaurants, the mall, wherever. Where'd you get those shoes? Target kids department. I'm a kid at heart. The love of her house. She lived in 2 different houses in Brentwood. The first one was an okay house. She didn't do too much to it. She knew that eventually they would be moving again. Her second house, the one that my dad currently lives in, you can kind of see around the room. I was looking at it after I came in. There's plaques, sayings, all kinds of stuff. My dad mentioned the chef board. I used to house it for them every year. They made a trip. Last year they went to Vegas for a week. I got very jealous. She'd send me pictures of the suite. Look where we're staying. Well, thanks a lot for inviting me. This past April, they went to Tennessee for a week, because I don't know if my dad has told people they were looking to retire there. So I got to their house one night, went into the garage like I always do. It took me almost 3 days before I saw the sign that said, "Welcome home, Danielle. Enjoy yourself and have a good time."
Those of you that don't know me, I'm Jim's dad, and I have known Larry. Help me with the math, Larry. Third grade. Third grade?
Third grade.
Really? Third grade? Wow.
50 plus years.
How many?
50 plus.
50 plus years. I've known Larry very, very well. Followed him through grade school, through high school, and then you went to work for Jim how many years ago?
20, almost 6.
20 years ago.
26.
26 years ago. So I've known this young man, his his whole life. And I was sitting there thinking of all the stories that I could tell about Larry, which one would I pick? So I'm going to pick this one. How old were you when I took you guys backpacking?
About 15.
15? I thought it was younger.
Depends on which trip,
Yes.
because you took us several times.
Oh, okay. Thank you. Well, anyway, so I think it was the first one. It was the first one. So Larry didn't have much experience in backpacking, but we talked about we had to carry our own food, we had to carry our backpacks and so forth. Well, Larry was preparing for this trip, and he decided he needed a new pair of shoes, right?
Yep.
To take a backpack trip. I could have told him, had he asked, no, you take an old pair of shoes that really works and you can count on. But I didn't tell him that. So about, what, a mile or two, he started complaining about his feet hurt. So we took off his shoes and had blisters all over his feet. And I don't remember what we did, but somehow we got you going again.
I went back and got new shoes, and you put methylate on.
Okay, I know. I remember there was some first aid going there because we had to keep going. So we get there, we make camp, and I thought, well, it's time for these two boys to be alone. So if you recall, I believe I took my sleeping bag and I hiked up a mountain where I could look down and see you guys' campfire. So I thought, well, I don't want to leave them out here alone too much, but I wanted to have the experience of sitting around the campfire talking to each other and so forth. So I did that, and you were in good shape by the time we got back, and I felt good about making the effort to get you two bozos up the mountain and back down. But Larry has worked for Jimmy for a long time. You guys have made a lot of money together and still have a good relationship. And I, of course, got to know Becky through your marriage and so forth. And it's been a privilege, Larry, to know you all these years. And you're still with Jimmy. You're very good friends. And I didn't know Becky real well, but what I saw is that you and Becky were a good team. And you liked each other, and you made a good home. And I'm sorry so much for your loss of not only of Becky, but your dad and mom, which I got to know. But Larry, you've done a great job running your life, taking care of this, and handling business, taking care of your family, and I'm proud of you, and I just want you to know that.
Thank you.
I just wanted to say a quick word that I'm wearing purple in honor of Becky. It's her favorite color. And Becky was my friend. And she did suffer a lot. She didn't always tell us that she did, but she wasn't always able to join us when we invited her and Larry to do things. And even when she wanted to, sometimes she couldn't. When it got to that moment, she wasn't able. We got to do quite a few fun things together, and I've had the privilege of being the recipient of a lot of those things that you guys have all talked about. That she was a good decorator. She came and helped me decorate when I started my own business. She came and helped me decorate my new business room, my office. And she went shopping with me and helped me pick out the furniture and gave me one of her lamps and did a little housewarming thing. And she was my friend. And there's little reminders of her in my house and in my office. And I'm going to miss her a lot. And I do believe that we will see her again. And I'm grateful for that knowledge because she's a precious friend. And I am so grateful for the privilege that it's been to be in her life. And I'm grateful that we were invited today because she has made an impact in my life. I'm grateful for her kindness and her generosity and her very frankness, and she doesn't ever beat around the bush. She tells it like it is. And I'm grateful that Larry's still in Brentwood. I hope to stay too. And that's all. I just wanted to share that.
I'll stand right here. I'm Jolene Alexander, and this is my husband, Bud. I've known Becky for about 5 years and have visited her regularly, and we've had many heart-to-heart talks and shared each other's concerns, and above all that, many laughs, of which I have heard a lot today. She was so readily to laugh and enjoy life. You knew that she was a real person. She didn't have phoniness to her. What was is what she believed, and she was ready to voice it. And that's what I liked about her too, that you knew she meant what she said, and those visits were very dear to me. I loved her home, and she was a wonderful homemaker. Every time I would come, she would show me something that she'd got and be so proud of it. I don't think I was ever in her home, and I was there many times, that there was a mess or a piece of dust on the floor or anything. She was spotless, and I loved her antiques, and so did she. She would show me the new ones that she got, and very proud of them. Larry was very generous with her. She did her thing, and I don't think he ever complained when she'd bring home something that she loved. But the one thing I want to finish with was her love for Alaska. And they went many times on cruises. I was so proud that I got to go once, and when I heard about the third or fourth time, that's about it, I couldn't believe it, but she loved going. But this one time she told me about, and she hit the jackpot. And a big jackpot. And from then on, they were treated royally. And so when they went, am I right? When they went on these cruises, and they were royalty. And so she loved that part too. I was so shocked with her death, and so sad, because I too felt she was my friend, and I think a lot of people did, because that's how she treated people. But I will miss her, and have missed her terribly since.
Hi, I'm Becky's and Larry's neighbor, and I just want to say that I very much. She was a really, really good friend to us, and like everybody says, she had a wonderful personality, the most giving person there is. But one thing I did see since I met her, which was maybe 3-4 years ago, Larry, that she loved her family. She loved Larry very much, and she loved her 2 girls very, very much. She used to go to my house, you know, after I got home from work and go visit me, and all she talked about what she did for dinner for Larry, which is every day, very big meals, and talk about the girls, you know, what their activities are, what they were doing. And I was just, I guess I was to this day, I was always amazed when Becky would say, oh, I just make dinner, but it was big meals, not like a little sandwich. And I always would tell her, you cook that much every day for Larry? Says, oh yeah. I said, why do you cook for him every day like that? He says, I'm home and I could do it and he appreciates it. I love it. And she always never complained about cooking. You know, to me, to this day, that amazed me about her and about how much she loved her family. And girls, I wanted just seeing you speak here and talk to everyone. Your mom is so, I kept looking at you both and saying, she is so proud of you, both. She knows how, you know, you're both in your own way, you're, you know, shy, quiet, or just certain things that, you know, it's not like talking to people. And you guys got up here and I was just thinking about your mom and thinking how she is smiling and she's so proud of you guys. Okay, and she loved you so much. And Larry, you're, like you said, you are so lucky that you have met love so much and adored you and always did everything. Yes, your house was spotless. So I don't know how she did. That was her biggest about, I guess, her biggest thing about cleaning and having a beautiful home. And that, again, Larry did appreciate it. And that Becky was a very good friend to me. Thank you.
I'm not going to walk all the way up there. It's just way too far. My name's Brendan, and that won't take a lot of time, but I just want to let you guys know that Larry and I have been friends for a few years. We started out in karate together, so you know, if you want to create a good friendship, you have to start with a fight. That's really how it works. So we meet when we can. I had the really great opportunity to meet Becky a few times. She's a great lady. She reminds me very much of my Aunt Peg, who was always one of my favorites. And you know, for all the reasons that everyone here has said, you know, she's one of those people that really seems to have that understanding of life that eludes a lot of the rest of us. So she had a very clear sense of who she was and how things are. And you know, in all of my talks with Larry, like he pretty much always talks about Becky and about Jen and Danielle. You know, and it's very nice to finally meet you guys, although I wish it could have been under better circumstances. And I'm so sorry, and I just want you guys to know that your pain is our pain. We'll be here for you.
Okay, looks like that about wraps it up. You know, one last comment I wanted to make. As you look around, you see a lot of wolves, and you see a lot of angels. The angels was something that Becky, she's always loved angels. There are angels every corner of the house, and she just always loved having them there. I don't know if it was because she felt they were watching over her or because she knew she would be one soon. The other thing is the wolf, and that's kind of our thing. Our initials are L-O and B-O, that's Lobo, and in Spanish that means wolf, and so we took on that kind of persona. It was mentioned how much Becky loves tattoos. She had a dozen, something like that. Yeah, she had many, and most of them were, you know, most of them were not obvious. And she always tried to get me to get one, and I kept saying no. It's, you know, it's just it isn't my thing. When she passed, when I was back in Illinois, I decided it wasn't my thing, and I wanted to pay tribute to her in a way that could never be erased. And if you look at this wolf over here in the corner, I took a picture of that and sent it to the guy that I went to talk about tattoos with. And that tattoo I have is one wolf howling, one wolf floating above with wings. And in the background there's the moon. Because this last trip before she went back to Illinois, she said, when you're out walking the dogs, when the moon is up in the sky, look at the moon. And know that I'm looking at it too. Every night and every morning if it's up, when I look at the moon, I look at it, I tell her I love her, and I know she's looking at it too. She's just looking at it from above. So, thank you again everybody for coming out and sharing this day of celebration. You don't know how much it's meant to us for you guys to come here. It's cannot express our gratitude. So, thank you again, and safe journeys home. Feel free to talk, stay and talk if you want, or grab some more food on the way out, or whatever it might be. So, anyway, thank you everybody.